6 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister is representing Pakistan at the extraordinary Joint Arab-Islamic Summit in Riyadh. The government announced the Hajj Policy 2025 in Islamabad today. The Planning Minister says the government aims to eliminate hepatitis from the country in the next 3 to 4 years. Pakistan and Australia have reiterated the commitment to further strengthen cooperation in the defence sector. The annual United Nations Climate Summit COP29 started in Baku today. 36 more Palestinians were martyred in the unabated Israeli strikes on Gaza today. And now the news in detail. The extraordinary Joint Arab-Islamic Summit began in Riyadh today. At the summit, leaders of the Muslim Ummah are discussing the rapidly deteriorating situation in Gaza and speak with one voice for the rights of the Palestinian people and reaffirm the collective call for regional peace. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif will present Pakistan's stance on Israeli atrocities in the Palestinian territories, including Gaza. Prime Minister Mohammed Shahbaz Sharif, who is in Saudi Arabia, will participate in the extraordinary Joint Arab-Islamic Summit being held in Riyadh today. In his address to the summit, he will present Pakistan's stance on Israeli atrocities in Palestinian territories, including Gaza. The Prime Minister Mohammed Shahbaz Sharif held a meeting with the Saudi Investment Minister, Engineer Khalid bin Abdulaziz Al Faleh, and the advisor Royal Court, Mohammed Al Tawarjri, on the sidelines of the Arab Islamic Summit in Riyadh today. The meeting was a follow-up on the recent engagements for economic cooperation between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. The minister appreciated the progress on major projects under discussion and acknowledged the efforts of the technical teams for their close cooperation to further strengthening economic partnership in diverse fields. 179,210 Pakistani pilgrims will perform Hajj next year. This was announced by the Minister for Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony, Chaudhry Salik Hussain, while unveiling the Hajj Policy 2025 in Islamabad this afternoon. He said the Hajj quota has been divided with a 50-50 ratio between the government and the private Hajj schemes. The minister said 89,605 seats have been reserved for the government and the private Hajj schemes. He said 5,000 seats will be kept for sponsorship scheme under the government Hajj scheme, while 30,000 seats will be allocated to the private Hajj tour operators for sponsorship. Talking about the Hajj expenses, Chaudhry Salik Hussain said the cost for the government Hajj scheme for 2025 is expected to range between 10,75,000 to 11,75,000 rupees, while the additional cost for the sacrifice will be 55,000 rupees. Chaudhry Salik Hussain said Hajj applications will be received from the 18th of this month to the 3rd of next month, while balloting will be held on the 6th of next month. The Minister for Planning and Development, Ahsan Iqbal, says the government is determined to eliminate hepatitis from the country in the next 3 to 4 years. Addressing a meeting in Islamabad today, he said this is achievable as Egypt successfully eradicated hepatitis in 3 years. Ahsan Iqbal also mentioned that the Prime Minister's initiative on diabetes will also be launched. He emphasized the focus will not only be on treatment but also on preventive healthcare through greater public awareness. The minister said this approach will help reduce the occurrence of diseases. Pakistan's ambassador to Denmark, Shoaib Sarwar, called on the Minister for Finance, Mohammad Aurangzeb, in Islamabad today. During the meeting, various aspects of bilateral ties and ways to further enhance cooperation and collaboration between Pakistan and Denmark in the field of trade and commerce were discussed. The minister highlighted the role of Pakistani diaspora in the socio-economic uplift of Pakistan. This is Radio Pakistan. The Chief of the Australian Army, Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, met the Army Chief, General Syed Asim Munir, in Rawalpindi today. During the meeting, both leaders engaged in discussions covering matters of mutual interest, particularly the global and regional security environment. General Syed Asim Munir emphasized Pakistan's appreciation for its ties with Australia, noting the importance of strong bilateral relations in promoting shared goals of peace and stability. Both the sides reiterated the commitment to further strengthen cooperation in defense and security, recognizing the value of continued collaboration for regional and global peace. Lieutenant General Simon Stewart commended Pakistan's efforts in countering terrorism and expressed his resolve to deepen bilateral defense and security cooperation. 5-day anti-polio campaign kicked off in 3 districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa today. According to the Health Department, this is the second phase of anti-polio campaign being launched in Dera Ismail Khan, Tank and Lucky Marwat districts. During the phase, more than 744,000 children up to 5 years of age will be inoculated. The annual United Nations Climate Summit has started in Baku, Azerbaijan, with countries ready for tough talks on finance and trade following a year of weather disasters that have emboldened the developing countries in their demands for more funds. Delegates from nearly 200 countries will participate at the 2-week COP29 forum for talks. In his opening speech, the United Nations Climate Chief, Simon Stiell, has urged for a new global climate finance goal. He appealed for climate funding to world's poorer nations. The Modi-led Indian regime has intensified its repression in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, invoking draconian laws against peaceful demonstrators. In the latest crackdown, the occupation authorities have booked 5 civilians in Kishtwar district under the Inhuman Public Safety Act and Unlawful Activities Prevention Act after they staged a protest against the exploitation of local water resources by the India-based Hydroelectric Power Corporation. 22 more civilians have been listed to be charged under the brutal laws. The move has sparked widespread condemnation, with the All Parties Hurriyat Conference in a statement mocking the so-called democratic credentials of India under Modi. The statement pointed out that Kashmiris have been virtually banned from raising their voice in support of their demands. People's Democratic Party President Mahbooba Mufti termed the continued use of such harsh laws on trivial charges as shocking. 36 more Palestinians, including women and children, were martyred and several injured in the relentless Israeli strikes on Jabalia in northern Gaza enclave today. Israel's genocide in Gaza has martyred over 43,600 Palestinians since October 7 last year. Meanwhile, Israel has martyred 23 people in another strike on the village of Almat, north of Lebanon's capital Beirut. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees has warned of an imminent famine in northern Gaza Strip. In a post on social media X handle, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees called for immediate action within days to avert the catastrophic situation. It further said an immediate, safe and unimpeded humanitarian access and a ceasefire now are needed more than ever. In Japan, Shigeru Ishiba, the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party, has been re-elected as the Prime Minister of the country. The 67-year-old Shigeru Ishiba secured 221 votes in both the houses of the Japanese Parliament, the National Daito, which met today to choose the Prime Minister. And finally, the weather report. Mainly dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very cold conditions are likely in hilly areas during the next 12 hours. However, cloudy weather with rain, wind and thunderstorm is likely at isolated places in Gilgit-Baltistan. Smog is likely to prevail in the plain areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and most parts of the Punjab, while dense fog is also likely during morning and night hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.